Hello everybody and welcome back. I'm late. I'm sorry. I was supposed to do this the last Friday of May and it's now Sunday the 1st of June and there's really no excuse. There's a reason, but it's not a great one. I have some stash that is about to arrive and the original delivery date was Saturday, May 31st. And so I thought, well, if I wait, then I can do the stash. Otherwise I have to wait an entire month and, well, it didn't come anyway. So that stinks. So this was also kind of a disappointing month. I didn't get nearly as much done as I wanted to. Things just kind of got wacky and I don't even know why. But I made some decent progress. Not as much as I wanted again, but decent. So let's dive right in and I'll show you what I worked on. The first thing that I worked on is one that I've been working on off and on for a while, and that is The Chance to Fly from Forbidden Fiber Company. The last time that I showed it to you, last month, it looked something like this. And here is where I'm at now. So I've got the black words done. I'm working on extending the borders down the side and working on filling in the windows. So making slow but steady progress, and I will probably keep working on this one. This is the one I like to take when I have to go somewhere and travel because that little 8x8 Q-snap is pretty convenient. The fact that it's all fancy flosses and so I don't have to pull anything out of my master set of DMC is pretty convenient. And it's just kind of cute and easy to work on, especially now that I've got some mindless fill that I can do. So yeah, that will probably continue to be worked on. And I forgot something, I'll be right back. Okay, back. So, one that I have just a little bit of progress on, and that's because I only worked on it for a few more days after my last video. Hello, Maka. Would be the Empyrean Sal from Forbidden Fiber Company. And again, I worked on this until the end of April, so like I think 4 or 5 days since the last time that I talked to you. And so last time it looked like this, and this time it's not much farther along. I got some more words done on the bottom, got a couple more daggers in, a few more letters. So I did make some progress, but then I decided to put it down. And I just oh, there we are. The needle minder was so far the needle couldn't get to it, since there's still some floss there. How I've been trying to do things this year is I have a small or smallish project. Right now that is The Chance to Fly. I have a medium-sized project that I work on, one that would, if I sat down and worked on it, would take, several months, maybe 3 to 6 months, if I sat down and worked on nothing else. And then one large full coverage project that's going to take me years. And I try to alternate and work on each of them a little bit throughout the week. This month, for my large project, I was thinking I was going to work on Mini Tea and Books, and this is artwork by Bridget Ashwood. It's charted by Hade. And yeah, that didn't work out too well. So I was originally working on it on 25 count Lugana, and I pulled it out and I did about 100 stitches on it, and it was 2 over 1/10, so 100 stitches doesn't even count as my 100 stitches for the day because they're half stitches, they're 10th. And here's about where I was at. Well, not about, this is it. So this is where I was at. The problem I've been having is some of these little tiny single offs, I was having trouble telling where they were. Looking at my pattern in Pattern Keeper, it's looking like I was getting off on some of the locations of some of them. My eyes are getting progressively worse, and I just decided that I will probably still stitch some stuff on 25 count Lugana, but I want to make sure that when I do, it's in Royal Rose, because the problem that I was having is when I was having like 3 and 4 squares wide, I was having trouble telling where stuff was. So if I'm doing the Royal Rose where I'm just working a square wide, that will probably be fine. But for this one, I decided I wanted to start over again on 18 count. And that is why I got delayed, because then I had to order more 18 count. And now here is where I am at on my restart. Only a little bit over 200 stitches in. So yeah, that's disappointing. I thought long and hard, because that's almost 3,000 stitches, and now I have 200. But I think in the long run, I will be happier that I did this. In the meantime, while I was waiting on that, first, I stupidly just didn't work on any of my full coverage at all. And then I said, well, wait a minute, I could go back and work on Chromatic Dragon. And this one, artwork is by Mikey Bergman, charted by Pain Free Crafts. And the last time I showed this one to you, this is what it looked like. And because it was very close to the end of the month, that I decided, well, I could go ahead and pull this out to work on it. I didn't get much farther at all. So I finished, this is about 2.5 pages wide. It's about as wide as you can go on the Q-snap without it getting uncomfortable. So now I'm going back in and starting to fill in. And you can see I've only gotten 1 column done of the second row fill. So that's where that one's at. What am I going to do for my full coverage in June? I haven't decided yet. I've got time. I probably won't actually pull that out for a couple of days. So the next thing, my medium-sized project this month. Last month it was the Empyrean cell, which is why it only had a few days worth of stitching on it. This month for May, I decided to work on Merman Cove, Dirty Annie's. And I had not pulled this one out in a while, so the last time you saw it, here's a reminder of what it looked like. And I actually got quite a bit done on this one this month, and I love working on this one. So here is where I'm at. This is done on, oh no, the card is gone. I will have to look up and try to remember what this one is done on. It is a Mystic Fabrics former fabric of the month, and I cannot remember the name for the life of me now. And the card that is usually stapled to the corner so nicely is missing. But this is done with the called for flosses, which means I'm using fancy flosses. So I've got some sparkle up here in the fish, in the merman tails. I'm starting to work with the fuzzy, the whisper fiber on the hair, and it's a lot of fun. The skin is kind of annoying. There's a lot of color changing. So I'm kind of alternating between doing that and doing some of the more fun, bigger blocks of color. So that is what I worked on a lot in May. And I'm probably going to put it up now. I have, oh, I forgot to talk about my knitting. So my knitting, I have the socks that I've been working on. They are the Movie Marathon pattern. They are being done in Stratus by Sock Obsession Yarns. The pretty gray with purples and blues in it. And I finished the first sock. I had some trouble with the Kitchener stitch at the toe, mostly because I didn't have my good yarn needle, and the one I had a huge eye, and so it got kind of stretched some stuff out. And there's a lot of mistakes in this one, and I've already made some major mistakes in the second sock, which I've started. So this is definitely not going to be fair worthy. So what I'm trying to do is go through and finish the partial knitting projects that I have done so that they are not sitting and languishing while I am gone abroad. And it's June now. Fair is the third week in August, so I gotta get going if I want to have anything in the fair this year. And that is what prompted me to pull out my next project, and that is what I'm going to be working on for the month of June, because I think this is the one I'm closest to being done with. And that's Ink Circles 5 o'clock. And I went ahead and pulled up the last time I worked on this one, and it looked something like this. And I just pulled it out a couple of days ago, so I've only gotten a few stitches in on it, a few hundred. So here's where I'm at right now. But it is definitely starting to take shape, and my goal is to be done with this one by the end of the month so that I can get it off for framing and have it ready for display in August. So that's all my stitching, and I kind of just also told you what I'm planning to work on for the rest of the month. I'm going to work on 5 o'clock, I'm going to work on the Chance to Fly, and then I don't know what my full coverage project is going to be. If it's going to be one of those two, or if I'm going to pull out something completely different. I don't know. For knitting, I'm going to finish those socks, and then I think I'm going to work on the scarf that I literally just have the border started on. But I also have a pair of gloves I've been working on. I need to decide if I'm either going to just pull them apart or actually finish them. So that is what I'm working on. And if that is all you're here for, I think this might be one of my fastest floss tubes ever. I hope you have a great month, and I will see you either the end of this month, beginning of next month, depending on when things are done. Might pop in to do a haul update because there is an unboxing coming up sometime this week. I don't get boxes very often anymore, but when I do, I want to not wait a month to show the unboxing. So might do something sooner. But otherwise, bye. Life updates. Working on my grad school stuff is coming right along. I've got most of the application done for my visa. There's just one thing I had a question on that I would need to talk to my university, so I'm waiting until Monday when the office is open so that I can ask them about that. And then I'll actually have applied for my visa. It's starting to get real. Also starting to get real because I'm gonna miss my girlies. It's still kind of up in the air what I'm gonna do with them. I have a tentative plan, but that could fall through. I have and I won't know until much closer to when I leave, but I do have a backup plan in place. So, but that's causing me some angst right now. And dance is done. We had our recital at the beginning of, or the middle of the month, and it went well. I tried going camping again. It was an unmitigated disaster. It was a disaster. I'm not cut out for camping. I think I need to go camping with other people because doing it by myself is not great. Also, I have the worst luck ever. The week before I went camping, it was gorgeous. High 60s, low 70s, sunny every day. The day that I took my camper out to the campground, and for the entire week that I was supposed to be camping, 50 degrees, cloudy, rainy, nasty. I made it 1.5 nights. And then went home and slept at home the second night after I had some issues, and then went back and cleaned up my camper and cleaned up my campground the next day, 4 days early. So yeah, don't think I'm cut out for this camping stuff. But I'm not quite ready to give up yet. I think that's all the life update I have. This is going to be a really short video. Reading, watching, listening to. Watching. I did a few true crime documentaries. There's some new ones on Netflix. I think one was about Fred and Rosemary West. One was about the Tylenol murders. There was another one, I don't remember right now. And then there was one about Brett Favre. So I watched those. They were interesting enough. They were a pass a day. They were nothing that I'm like, nothing that I'm going to say you have to stop everything and watch these right now. And the rest of the month I have been through my annual rewatch, working my way through my annual rewatch of The Golden Girls, which is fun because Forbidden Fiber Company just came out with the Golden Girls mystery kit. And of course I ordered it. So looking forward to seeing that one when it gets here. Reading, now reading's a different story. What have I got here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 books. 9 books I finished this month. We'll start with the one I finished today. Ray Bradbury, Fahrenheit 451. I know it's a modern classic and all that, but I don't like the way Ray Bradbury writes. I have read this, I've read Something Wicked This Way Comes, and I don't like him. You can feel about that how you want. Maybe I'm just not intellectual enough for it. I don't know. That is one of my pet peeves. Like, I was going through and reading some of the reviews, and people that give this poor reviews, a lot of the responses are, it's obviously written for people like you that just don't get it and blah, blah, blah. And I hate that, okay? Whatever someone wants to read, more power to them. Awesome. I'm just glad you're reading. I read for enjoyment. So I want the fun, light, poppy stuff. Like, I don't want the thick, esoteric, like, stuff that makes you think. I'm reading for enjoyment. My life is stressful enough. And if that makes me a, like, lower class or less intellectual person in someone's eyes, I guess I don't care. Like, that's one of my big pet peeves, is when we talk about something like some of the popular romantasy series like ACOTAR or Fourth Wing, and somebody's always got to chime in and talk about how the writing sucks and blah blah blah, and like, okay, you don't like it, big deal. That's what I said. Ray Bradbury, I'm beginning to think I don't like him. I might try to read another one just in case, but I'm just beginning to think that his writing style is not for me. Moving on. If you like it, awesome. Okay, sorry about that. I don't know where that came from. I do. I was just going through that on Goodreads, and it really annoys me. And so I had to say, but yeah. Also read this month, Yumi and the Nightmare Painter by Brandon Sanderson. This is the copy that came out when he did his secret project. I believe it might still to date be the highest grossing Kickstarter ever. But yeah, I got the 4 books, the 4 secret projects in the original Kickstarter. And I finally got around to, this is the 3rd of 4 that I've read. I liked it. It was not my favorite of the 4 books. Well, I've read 3 of them by now. My favorite was Tress of the Emerald Sea. This was a departure from what Sanderson usually writes, at least of what I've read from him. So it was different. It wasn't what I was expecting, and I don't know if that colored my thoughts on it. But it was still a very good book, and I really liked it. When I say not my favorite there, I just literally mean not my favorite, not I'm trying to find a nice way to say I don't like this book. I really did like that book. My book of the month from Book of the Month was The Man Made of Smoke by Alex North. I really liked this one too. This one is a book about a psychiatrist. He works with mentally disturbed prisoners, and basically like that, and basically his whole life was covered from an encounter he had with a serial killer when he was like a tween young teenager. And that kind of comes back to haunt him when his father's car is found near a cliff with a suicide note in the car saying, "Notify my son," and he is going through trying to figure out what might have made his father commit suicide. So trigger warning there, obviously, for that. But I thought it was a good book. The next two go together. A Court of Wings and Ruin and A Court of Frost and Starlight, Sarah J. Maas ACOTAR series. I really liked this one. Really liked it. Not as good as A Court of Mist and Fury, but still pretty good. Solid 4 stars. High 4 stars. Court of Frost and Starlight. I mean, it is exactly what it is, which is a novella, place filler. Like, there's not a whole lot of plot to this, so it's just kind of I don't know that I liked it. The Indifferent Stars Above. This is the story of the Donner Party. This is a nonfiction, obviously. And again, I really liked this one. I like nonfiction though. I thought it was really well written. They went into, like, one of the things I liked is he kind of wrote about this from the perspective of one of the members of the Donner Party, this woman named Sarah Graves, who was one of the survivors, and kind of like made it, instead of like a general overhead view, like right down in there through the eyes of somebody that experienced it. So I thought this was an interesting book. This one is also kind of triggery, if like, obviously cannibalism. Some very, very uncomfortable, near fatal, sometimes fatal living conditions. So this one might be particularly dark. If you read for enjoyment, that is not maybe something that would qualify as a popcorn book, definitely. Speaking of triggery books, The Last Housewife by Ashley Winstead. I thought this was a great book. Again, it is very triggery. I guess when I say triggery, it's not triggery to me, but it could be triggery to people. It's got a list in the front of the book of certain things that might disturb you about the book. And basically, this is a book about a woman who hears through a podcast that her best friend has been found dead. Looks like a suicide. So again, trigger warnings for suicide. And she ends up teaming up with the podcaster to try to figure out exactly what happened, because she doesn't think it makes sense that her friend would have committed suicide. So, but again, other trigger warnings in here, definitely. This is a dark, dark book. The Women of Copper Country by Mary Doria Russell. This is not my normal genre. This is historical fiction, straight up. No mystery, suspense, no fantasy. But I picked this up because it is about the copper mines in the Upper Peninsula of Michigan. I've actually been to the city of Calumet that this book is set in. I've actually toured the copper mines up there. So I thought it was very interesting. This centers around the 1913 copper mine strike and the subsequent Italian hull disaster, which is thought to be one of the reasons that Oliver Wendell Holmes used as an example that yelling fire in a crowded building or in a movie theater is not within your First Amendment rights. That's where this example came from. So, very enjoyable book. I liked it. I liked most of my books this month. That was pretty cool. And then finally, Red, White, and Royal Blue. Again, definitely not my normal genre. Straight up romance. Not normally a romance reader. It was cute, it was fun, and I really liked it. Even though it's not my normal, well, it was cute, it was fun, and it was not a waste of time. It's definitely not in my 5 and 6 star pile, but it was pretty good. So that is all I have for you. And just about in time, because apparently my dogs have decided that they are not waiting for their dinner any longer. So I have to go take care of that. We'll see you at the end of this month, beginning of July, for a June wrap-up. Stay safe, stay healthy. See you next time. Maka!